My name is Peter van Sluijs. I am the coordinator of the Civil Society Platform for Peacebuilding and Statebuilding, in short CSPPS. CSPPS is a global network of civil society organizations supporting peace-building efforts in fragile and conflict-affected settings. The platform represents civil society in the international dialogue on peacebuilding and statebuilding, which is a tripartite partnership bringing together fragile and conflict-affected countries, donor countries working on issues related to conflict and violence, and civil society through CSPPS. As CSPPS, we are also active as a steering committee member of a global SDG 16+ coalition. And that coalition brings together major initiatives working on efforts towards peaceful, just and inclusive societies, and seeking ways to accelerate action and coordination of efforts to make that happen. I think at CSPPS we aim to establish what we call polylateral partnerships that work with both governmental as well as non-governmental actors from the ground up, from the ground and up. I think our approach is jointly tackling the aspirations of the 2030 agenda requires a transformative system change, and we need to drastically move away from the traditional donor-recipient narrative and truly acknowledge that we carry a global and interconnected responsibility together. Instability, inequality, and exclusivity is one part of the world fuels and widens the gap in another. Actors at the international and national levels are in need of a specialist knowledge from the ground in order to create effective policies that do not only sound good, but I think they're also implementable. So we need the voices of all to come to solutions for all. And it's in that vein that we seek these kind of partnerships that are built on trust and mutual responsibility. And I think, I mean, if I would say, I think at our core, I think we all want and need the same thing. I think we all want a healthy and safe environment in which we can peacefully coexist and develop and thrive within this diverse and complex world. And I think in achieving this for all our global society, the vastness and diversity of human spectrum is often perceived as a curse. But I think that yet in the mosaic of voices to be is to be seen as our blessing, I think, even our strength in the face of thorny and complex issues such as conflict, climate change, and the current pandemic. That's why I think, for example, in the context of our engagement in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we call for a more inclusive reporting process for the remaining years till 2030. I think that the annual review of where we are with the Sustainable Development Goals was intended to include not only governmental actors, but also voices from the ground, also voices from civil society and the public sector. And in practice, what we see happening is a shrinking of civic space, also due to the pandemic. And if we are sincerely dedicated and ambitious about the state of the world, I think we need a more inclusive and participatory approach to issues that affect us all. Well, I earlier referenced the international dialogue on peacebuilding and statebuilding, which I think is an interesting example of a polylateral partnership. But on your question, in terms of successful partnerships for sustainable peace, if that partnership for sustainable peace would have been established, I would hope that we had long applied it worldwide, and that was indeed the model for us to move forward. But I think we're still experimenting and looking for the best model to address the issues that we are confronted with. But there are certain recent initiatives that inspire hope for a better future. I think we are also engaged in what is called the SDG 16+ localization consortium, and I think that is a good example of a partnership that potentially has the power to bring sustainable peace over the years to come, as it brings together 3 major global civil society networks to bolster national and local progress on SDG 16. And I think it's innovative initiatives like this that work on the local level and that offer the prospect of systemic change at the national and local levels that we need for a new way of inclusive and effective peace building, and that brings in local actors in a manifest way.